R&D TV. This page contains logos with elements that are not safe for work. One or more logos featured specifically contain violence and jokes relating to suicide in the Confederacy. Please use discretion when viewing images or videos on this page. The hub, Ronald suggests more dogfights. But then, David's head turns into a dog and attacks Ronald, yelling, "Not that kind of dogfight." Revelations, David says, "No, I want your opinion. Be frank." The background changes to a laboratory as Ronald turns into Frankenstein's monster and chokes David, who cries, "Ron. Be Ron." Black circle, sometimes a great notion. When background changes to the Wild West setting with Ronald and David becomes cowboys, David says, "Smart," and Ronald says, "Fast." After David leaves, the people are shooting Ronald while they shouting, "Pilgrim," to him. A disquiet follows my soul, David says, foul language. Ronald makes a bird call and flees the scene. Birds swarm the room and proceed to poop on David, who says, "Ah, crap." The oath, Ronald says, "Talent show," and juggles some pins with his eyes closed. David just shoots Ronald. Black circle, blood on the scales, David says, "Conspiracy." The setting changes to ancient Rome, with David dressed as Julius Caesar and Ronald dressed as a senator. Ronald makes a whistle call and a group of senators gang up on David and stab him multiple times, with Ronald joining in. No exit, Ronald wants to rewrite, but the whole room reveals to be a stage as he knocked by wood. David says, "Oh my God." The R&D TV logo appears on the shirt of the stage crew, and this is the only variant where the logo appears on the left rather than the middle. Deadlock, Ronald and David get interrupted by Edward James Olmos, known for his role as William Adama in the show, who asks, "Where's my check?" Ronald bails, with David telling Eddie that he doesn't know. However, Eddie punches David in the stomach, causing a check to fly out. Eddie grabs it and says, "Gracias." Black circle, someone to watch over me, Ronald says, "Monarchy." The background changes to a medieval-esque one as David becomes a queen, who proceeds to go, blah blah blah. An executioner comes to chop Ron's head with his scythe, then he faints for David's delight. Islanded in a stream of stars, David complains about the script of the episode, saying, "This is the pits. Why can't we hire?" He gets cut off when Ronald presses a button on the desk, causing David to fall through a trapdoor and into an unseen pit of death. Daybreak, Part 1, David blurts out, "Superheroes kill the Cylons." However, Ronald tells him, "Give me a break. You have no idea what you're talking about," before David snaps Ronald's arm in two, causing Ronald to cry out, "Mommy." Daybreak, Parts 2 and 3, Ronald and David are sitting along a dirt road, dressed like Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper from Easy Rider. Ronald says, "Hey man," and David says, "Peace." They are then mowed down by a pickup truck with a Confederate flag tailgate and a bumper sticker saying, "Hicks Rule," and it skids to a halt. The evil delivery man from the Coble's Last Gleaming, Part 2, skit riding in the truck bed exclaims, "Fracking hippies." There is an unused variant where Ronald suggests athletes. While this occurs, the room changes into an ice hockey stadium. David turns into a hockey player with a chainsaw massacre mask and chases Ronald down. While this occurs, the infamous charge fanfare is played. After David kills Ronald, the crowd cheers. The scoreboard reads, Ron 01 and Dave 00. The scoreboard for David killing Ronald turns into Dave 01. FX, very nice animation. Contrary to popular belief, this was not done with CGI, but rather a different and far more creative process. The bodies of the men were made with models playing their parts against a green screen. After the footage was completed, the models' heads were erased using Photoshop and After Effects, necks were added, and then the heads were replaced with pictures of Ronald and David's heads, which are then given different facial expressions and mouth movements. These were done by Jerry Hulsh, a close friend of David Icke. Music, sounds. A ding sound as either one of the men get an idea, and sound effects and dialogue correlating to the variant. The voices of Ronald and David are actually provided by impersonators, though they are so spot on most people who aren't aware of that fact usually can't tell the difference. Availability. Seen on all episodes of Battlestar Galactica. The unused variant, which was strangely not appear on the Battlestar Galactica webisodes, can be found on the now-defunct charwebart.com website. Don't expect this logo to be on Caprica, though. Editor's note: the subject matter, violence and all the other weird stuff happening in these logos might cause scares, but otherwise, this is a hilarious and creative logo, and a favorite of many, especially to Battlestar Galactica fans.